Chapter 1. En route to the Deep Space Station. Marcus looked at the view screen in front of him. He was on the bridge monitoring the ship because Mark wanted a night off. Marcus understood completely, and it was fair. Marcus got to spend a significant amount of time on Umbra. Mark had spent less than a night on their home planet. So Marcus decided to give him the night off. The first officer wasn't off, but he wasn't on the bridge either. Marcus had sent him downstairs to cover for security while those officers had dinner, and most of the crew switched to the overnight shift. Jake wouldn't have to stay on the security level for long, just a couple hours. Marcus, on the other hand, was trapped on the bridge all night. It really wasn't that bad. Marcus liked watching the stars and suns and planets as they zoomed by. And they'd gotten the view screen to slow down so that you could actually view everything. It simply jumped ahead every couple of minutes. The scanners on the ship were more efficient in that regard. They could scan and analyze at the speed the ship was traveling. The view screen, however, was delayed. And if they hadn't delayed it, they'd be watching a blur. Marcus was certain it'd be headache-inducing. Shadow was shopping with Lucia and Alara. Marcus figured she'd make her way up to the bridge later in the evening, once she'd bought out most of the stores. Their estimated time en route to the space station was 4 months, but the engines weren't yet spooled to full speed. Marcus expected that time to decrease, but there was no way of knowing by how much. So far, everything seemed to be functioning properly. Mark had said there were no problems while they were at Umbra. That was a relief, even after personally overseeing the deletion of that hostile program. Marcus hadn't been convinced that it had been fully deleted. Right now, everything appeared to be fine. Any anomalies? Marcus asked. None so far, the helmsman said. It's been pretty smooth. It was smooth at the planet, too. You had no problems while we were down on the surface? Marcus asked. None with the instruments. Those crewmen that we stuck in the brig were another story, the helmsman said. I haven't read the report yet, Marcus said. They used a dinner break to take off a panel. Well, one of them did. He made it into the hall before he was caught, the helmsman said. I'm not sure where he thought he was going. Marcus contemplated. Neither am I. I suppose he could have stolen a shuttle, but there's nothing out here except vampire planets that are running out of food. I didn't think it was too terribly safe out here in this galaxy, the helmsman said. Not for living creatures, Marcus said. If they catch one of you, you'll just become food. If they catch 2 of you, you'll be put into a food breeding program. None of that sounds pleasant, but he earned himself a place in a stasis chamber, the helmsman said. So he'll be asleep for the duration of the trip, Marcus said. It's worse than that. Our stasis chambers are cold storage technology, the helmsman said. When he's woken up, he'll be miserably cold, and it takes about 3 days to warm up. Serves him right for trying to escape, Marcus said. The helmsman nodded. We've got 3 months to the space station now. Those engines seem to be getting faster, Marcus said. I don't know what it is. When we first took off, they were at 80% efficiency, according to the computer. Now it's 90%, he said. When did that start? Marcus asked. After you had that new code installed, the helmsman said. How are the rest of the gauges? Marcus asked as he sat down in the captain's chair. All green, he said. That makes no sense. No, sir, the helmsman said. Are the engineers compiling data on that? Marcus asked. I believe so, he said. Marcus called down to engineering. What can we do for you, Captain? Are you collecting data on the engine operations? Marcus asked. We are. I guess you saw that 90% efficiency. I did, Marcus said. We are looking into it. We're flying faster, but the ship appears to be handling it, the chief engineer said. Keep looking into it. This ship was built on government contracts, Marcus said. He could just see the still in the hole not rated for engines at 100%. We know, we're on it. Marcus ended the communication. When do they send lunch up here? The helmsman looked at the clock. It should be on its way up. Marcus turned his head when the elevator door opened. Shadow hopped onto the bridge and over to Marcus. She handed him a box. Marcus chuckled. You gift-wrapped it? He pulled off the bow and unwrapped the box before opening it. Fancy blood chocolates. He held one up. She knows what you like, the helmsman said. She does. Marcus ate it, then he kissed Shadow. Here's the rest of it, Alara said as she rolled a cart into the room. She was followed by a human crew member. And I have food for everyone else, the crew member said. Fantastic, the helmsman said. This is for everyone, and Shadow, Alara said. She wanted to have lunch with you. We'll have ours in the briefing room, Marcus said. We can handle it out here, the helmsman said. Thank you, Marcus said. Will we see you for dinner, Alara asked. Yes, I have first shift starting a little early tonight, Marcus said. He filled a tray and walked into the briefing room with Shadow. Shadow sat down at the long table. Marcus set a blood and a plate of blood cakes in front of her. He set the blood chocolates, and a few blood cakes at his spot and sat down. How's the ship? Shadow asked as she picked up her blood. Fine so far, Marcus said. I'm concerned about the engines continuously spooling faster, but nothing seems to be wrong. Shadow drained her blood. How long to the space station? 3 months, Marcus said. Wasn't it 4 months? Shadow asked. Yes, and actually we've only been out about 5 months. If this keeps up, we'll be 2 months or more ahead of schedule, Marcus said. The space agency won't be expecting us, Shadow said. Nope, they won't be, and that's a good thing, Marcus said, then looked at Shadow. We could have spent that week on Umbra like you wanted. I think it would have been more than a week, but it's fine, Shadow said. I liked being back, but that's not home anymore. It didn't feel much like home to me either, Marcus said as he grabbed a couple blood chocolates and ate them. These are really good. It was a new product at the snack shop, Shadow said. That was really thoughtful of you, Marcus said. I know you had other plans tonight, Shadow said as she grabbed a blood cake. I did, but there's no rush, Marcus said. They annihilated the food. Marcus looked at Shadow. Did you not explode a blood cake? I ate them gently, Shadow said. That's not like you, Marcus said. He started to ask if she was feeling all right when she couch. Marcus leaned down and kissed her just as he heard the door beep and open. Mark stepped inside, then turned around. I should have placed bets before I came in. Marcus chuckled. He pulled out of Shadow. Is it urgent? Not so urgent that you can't make yourselves presentable, Mark said. Give us a minute. Marcus ushered Shadow into the bathroom where they carefully undressed. They took a quick shower, dried, and redressed. Marcus stepped out of the bathroom. Shadow hopped out. Mark shook his head. You too. My sire says the same thing, Marcus said. What's the news? We're at 94.8, Mark said. We went up almost 5 percentage points in an hour, Marcus asked. The last report was actually run a few hours ago, and you've been in here longer than you think, according to the helmsman, Mark said. I got a notification that the next report was ready, so I stopped what I was doing and read it. Once I saw, I thought I better get up here. I guess we better stop the engines and figure out what's going on, Marcus said. I know everything says green, I just don't trust it. Neither do I. Do you want a complete stop? Mark asked. We can coast, Marcus said. Once the engines are off, the risk, whatever it is reduced. Why do we have to stop? Shadow asked. The engines are running too fast, Marcus said. This shouldn't impact our arrival time since we're early. Shadow looked at him. We'll still arrive later. Well, yes, Marcus said, but we're 2 to 3 months early than our initial arrival date. It's not a problem. Shadow huffed. Was that a retort? Mark asked. It was, and she makes a good point. Can we run the impulse while we reprogram the main engines? As far as I know, we can, I'll ask, Mark said. Did you want to continue on our current path? How far are we from Umbra and Shivatas on impulse? Marcus asked. It's 2 weeks either way, Mark said. We're right in the middle. Head on to Shivatas, Marcus said. If this takes a while or we need parts, we need to be next to a planet that might have them. Good plan, Mark said. I'll let the appropriate crew members know. Are you done with what you needed to do tonight? Marcus asked. I am. I can take over the bridge if you want, Mark said. That sounds good to me. Marcus picked Shadow up. Let me know if you need me for anything. Will do, Mark said. Marcus carried Shadow into the elevator and told the computer to go to the recreation level. Shadow kissed Marcus. Marcus pressed her against the side of the elevator as they enjoyed each other's mouths. Once they arrived at the level, Marcus set Shadow on her feet and exited the elevator behind her. What do you want to do? Movie, Shadow said. We can do that, Marcus said, then paused. Did you hear that? It was a thud, Shadow said. Sounds like someone fell. Marcus looked around. He didn't see anyone on the floor. Shadow motioned. Weird hall that no one uses. We used it once, Marcus said as they turned to walk down it. Shadow laughed. As they turned a corner to walk around to the back of the shops, Marcus frowned. There was someone on the floor. Shadow ran over to the person. Living creature. Human, Marcus said as he stepped behind Shadow. He looked around the hall. No one else was in it, and this human was bleeding from her neck and gasping for air. Should we fix that? Shadow asked. Don't step in that, Marcus motioned to a pile of stomach contents. Shadow looked and jumped back. Nasty! Very. He bit his thumb and healed the marks on the female's neck. Shadow looked at the pile of disgusting on the floor. Marcus. I know, I saw that too, Marcus said as he watched the female. I'm going to stake whoever did this. Is she turning? Shadow asked. She is, Marcus said, and I'm not sure how that's possible. Someone has a bad upset stomachache, Shadow said. Marcus nodded. He walked over to a comm panel. Doctor. Yes, is this Captain Marcus? It is. I need you on Recreation Level 1, Marcus said. And has anyone come in with a stomachache? Yes, why? He asked. You'll see when you get to the recreation level. On my way, my nurse is attending to the stomachache, the doctor said. Shadow grabbed the female's hand when she started trying to get up. You have to stay down. Can't breathe. I know, Marcus said as he kneeled beside her. You'll be fine. Do we know how much blood she got? Shadow asked. Marcus shook his head. No, we do not. But judging by the piles, I'd say it's enough. But she threw it all up, Shadow said. They do that, Marcus said. It's because the first thing that changes is the stomach. What about the waist? Shadow asked. That's last, Marcus said. The doctor can deal with that mess. Dying, the woman said. Marcus shook his head. I don't believe you are, but you need to lay still. I'm Captain Marcus. The doctor walked up behind them with a gurney. I figured I needed a gurney. You do, Marcus said as he stood. What happened to her? The doctor asked as he and the male nurse walked over to the woman. She was bit, Marcus said. The doctor scanned her life signs. She's not doing well. Test those vitals against Shadow's, Marcus said. Did Shadow do this? The doctor asked as he ran a comparison. No, the stomachache did, Marcus said. Oh, the doctor said. He'll be in the sick bay for a night at least. He's really sick. So far, my nurse has had to pump him full of 20 times the normal stomach medicine we give anyone, and that includes your breed. He was dry heaving when I left. I would imagine so. These guys aren't drinkable, Marcus said. She's got vitals in between ours and yours, the doctor said. This probably happened 30 or 40 minutes ago, Marcus said. That would be about right. Mr. Stomach came in about 20 minutes ago. Then what was the thud? Shadow asked. Probably her trying to stand, Marcus said. This causes them to pass out for a few minutes. Marcus, give me some explanation, the doctor said. Mr. Stomachache tried to use her for food, found out really fast that she's not food. However, I would venture to guess that he was overeager in his attempt, so she was on her way out. In order to stop that, he fed her, Marcus said. So, she's turning into one of us, Marcus said. Which we didn't think was possible, Shadow said. I wouldn't want to attempt it, Marcus said. Can we use the transporter? The doctor asked after he and the nurse lifted the woman onto the gurney. No, Marcus said. Are you coming with us? The doctor asked. I am. I need to explain a few things in detail privately, Marcus said as he watched the doctor strap the woman to the padded, rolling bed. What about the movie? Shadow asked as she followed them to the elevator. I'll program one into the recreation room, Marcus said. Must be a date night, the doctor said before telling the computer to take them to the medical level. I've been on the bridge all night, Marcus said. I just got off. The female struggled on the gurney. Inhale, Marcus said, then talk. The woman inhaled. Can't breathe. You can breathe, it's just no longer automatic, Marcus said. How injured am I? She asked. You're not injured, Marcus said. I was attacked, she said. You were attacked, Marcus said, but you are no longer injured. How? Your attacker healed you, Marcus said. Loose interpretation, Shadow said. Well, more accurately, your attacker attempted to use you as a blood bag, Marcus said. Humans aren't food for us. I'm not sure how he didn't get that memo, but you were too far gone for him to simply stop and walk away. So he healed you. I thought he liked me, she said. I have no idea about that, Marcus said. Who was it? Ensign Joe, she said. I'm a waitress. Joe Flaccus, the doctor said. I don't know him, Marcus said. He's part of the maintenance team, the doctor said. Where's he from? Marcus asked. He's Civitas, the doctor said as the doors opened. We may drop them both off at Civitas, Marcus said as he picked Shadow up and walked out of the elevator. They walked into the medical suite. Where is he? Marcus asked. In the back, the nurse said. Marcus, what do I need to do with her? The doctor asked. Strap her to a bed and give her an IV, Marcus said. Of what? The doctor asked. Blood, preferably his. He motioned to the bed where the male was laying. He's too sick to give blood, the nurse said. I don't care, Marcus said. If you won't collect it, I will. Fill a bag, the doctor said. But, doctor, she said. It won't hurt him for the long term, Marcus said. Go ahead and do it while I get this one situated, the doctor said. What happened to her? The nurse asked as she grabbed an IV bag and the other required medical tools. He attacked her, the doctor said. I did not, he said. Your captain is in the room, Marcus said. I would suggest not lying. We were enjoying each other's mouths. I got carried away. I fixed it. Joe tried to sit up and groaned. Just lay there, Marcus said. You drank 4 pints of human blood. You are beyond sick. I'm surprised you didn't throw up in the hall. He threw up down here, the nurse said. I didn't know it was that much until she passed out in my arms, Joe said. But I gave her my blood to heal it. 4 pints? Shadow hopped over to the bed. How did you not realize it was disgusting way before then? It wasn't disgusting, he said. She must eat a lot of lamb, Marcus said. It's her favorite meat, Joe said. Shadow laughed. Figures. But I healed her, Joe said. What's your definition of healed? Marcus asked. Well, she's still alive, he said. What's your definition of alive? Marcus asked. Joe groaned. How old are you? Marcus asked. 303 and a half? Marcus asked. Or is it 3/4? Joe sighed. I have children younger than you that know better, Marcus said. I'm ready to take his blood, the nurse said. Get some rest, Marcus said. He turned and walked back to the doctor. She's stable, I suppose, the doctor said. Keep her strapped to that bed, Marcus said. Once the transformation is complete, her first instinct will be to bite any living creature that she can get a hold of. And if she does, she ends up just like him, the doctor said. She wouldn't survive it, Marcus said. I'll keep that in mind, the doctor said. Marcus turned to Shadow. We're done here. Do you need a shower? I want a shower, Shadow said, and a change of clothes. Let's go find a hot bath, Marcus said. They walked out of the medical offices.